Welcome to Vocab Lesson 6. Please make sure you have your reader's notebook and something to write with, or you might have a chart that we used in class. And if you're using that chart, just make sure you write in a different color pen so you can see what was added while watching the video. All right, our first word is nepotism, which has a negative connotation, which is why I put it in blue. Nepotism is a noun. Words ending in ism, ism, are always nouns. And nepotism is the practice of favoritism based on family. So let me give you an example. Let's say the soccer coach chose his own son to be goalie, even though his child wasn't good at being goalie, and chose his child over all the other potential goalies. That coach might be accused of nepotism because he's showing favoritism, for his son, and his son is gaining power in the game because of the power of position his father's in as coach. Okay, this is kind of an interesting word. It comes from the Italian word for nephew. And so back in the 17th century, a lot of people tended to promote their nephews to powerful positions at the expense of other candidates. And so nepotism has come to mean favoritism of any family member. Okay, and our next word is begrudge, also negative connotation. To begrudge is to wish someone ill. And I'll give you a couple of examples. You might begrudge your friend his A+ because you worked just as hard and earned a B+. Or you might begrudge the captain of the soccer team his position because you have more experience playing and you also have seniority. You might begrudge your teacher her decision to give you a quiz on the day before spring break because you feel that you should not have to take a quiz. Okay, this word is a little tricky, and what you want to do is use the word, then say the person's name against whom you are holding ill will, and then you want to say the thing that you're upset about. Okay, so I'll give you 3 quick examples. I begrudged my brother his A+. I begrudged my teacher her decision to give us a quiz. I begrudged the basketball starter his position. Okay? All right. Our next word is Mandarin, kind of a neutral connotation. A Mandarin is a powerful member of a government or a group, and you can use Mandarin to talk about a government official who wields a lot of power, but another kind of Mandarin is a respected figure. So you might say something like, my favorite chemistry professor is considered a Mandarin on campus, a figure who has a lot of power. Okay? I do want to let you know that this word, when you use a capital M at the beginning of it, it does refer to the language spoken in China. But if you're using a lowercase m, it refers to a person who has a lot of power. Next word is glutinous. It's an adjective. It means glue-like or thick and sticky. And so when you step into a glutinous substance, some of it might stick to your shoe and stretch as you step up. And a good way to remember this word is to know about its origins. The Latin word for glue was gluten, which is actually now the name of a substance found in wheat, right? Gluten is what makes pizza or bread dough stretchy and gluey or glutinous. So if you're baking a cake, you shouldn't mix it too much or it could become glutinous or tough, sticky and tough, right? So glutinous is related to the word gluten, and if you can think about that Latin connection, I think you'll be in good hands. Supervisor is a person in charge at your job who monitors you as you work, okay? And to supervise means to oversee. So a supervisor is someone whose job it is to oversee everyone else as they work. If you're the supervisor of a big kitchen, you probably won't spend time chopping onions, but instead you'll wander around making sure that everybody has their hair pulled back and is using the right ingredients and working quickly. Okay? Sometimes in very complex problems, a whole organization can be a supervisor, like a city department that oversees the police. But supervisor tends to refer to one person, the person in charge. Next word is declaim, which is a verb. To declaim means to speak very passionately against something. Okay, like when you declaim having to be home at an early hour, you want your parents to extend your curfew. You might declaim having to be home at the time they're telling you to be home. Okay, it can also describe reciting words aloud for practice. So if you're learning a new language, you might declaim a sentence until it sounds clear and natural when you say it. Declaim was originally spelled differently, and that other spelling was similar to the Latin word declamar, meaning to practice public speaking. But now it has more other meanings that have come into greater use. Okay, but again, you're going to use this verb to talk about, speaking very passionately against something. Okay. All right. Next word is imbue. I like this word. This is a verb meaning to fill up with or become soaked in an idea or emotion. So, a visit to Africa might be enough to imbue ambitions in a person to return one day to heal, to help heal the sick. You can use imbue in a similar way to saturate or soak through to describe a filling or absorbing, and kind of a neat way to remember it, I guess, is a hue is a color, right? And it rhymes with imbue. And when you're imbued with something, you're in a way colored by it. If you imbue a dish sponge with oily orange water from a spaghetti bowl, the color and the oil soak in. Okay, so to fill people with qualities or emotions is to imbue them, for example, with strength or optimism. So you normally imbue something with something else. Okay. All right, and next word is gaff, which is an iron hook used for landing large fish. There's not really much to say about this word, except that if you're, someone who likes to fish, you probably use this kind of tool. And it tends to be used with larger fish, but you might say, I used a gaff to catch a massive salmon today. Okay, and our next word is quaff. To quaff is to gulp. So pretend you're in a desert. You haven't had water in days. You're extremely thirsty, and then you come upon an oasis. You're going to lean over and quaff the water. If you're in a room with your favorite foods, you might stuff the food into your mouth or quaff the food. Really, though, quaffing is really just used with beverages, but it's the same idea of just sort of taking something in very quickly, stuffing yourself with a beverage, with water, with soda, with Gatorade, whatever it is, okay? And it's kind of a fun word, basically just meaning to swallow very quickly or greedily in one hearty gulp. And our last word is bibliophile, which means book lover. So if you find it impossible to leave a bookstore without buying at least one book, you might be a bibliophile. A bibliophile usually has a huge collection of books and loves nothing more than browsing in a bookshop or a library. And it's this love of books or a deep knowledge about books that makes a person a bibliophile. The earliest use of this word was in the early 1800s in France, and it came from a Greek prefix, biblio, which means book, and the word philos, which means friend. So If you consider books to be your true friends, you are definitely a bibliophile. You could also say that Ms. Marchetti has the goal of turning all of her students into bibliophiles for life. That concludes our lesson. Let me know if you have any questions, and we will continue activities in class. Thanks.